we have become intimately familiar with the mental experiences of thought as mental images, so now we must delve into the mental experiences of thought as beliefs. Now, since the name of my channel is Autistic Skeptic, my channel might someday fall into the same category as many other skeptic channels, so I think it would be wise for me to issue a disclaimer that what I'm about to say contradicts the mainstream philosophy of the skeptic community. Every skeptic I've listened to has stated at least once or twice that belief is not a choice, and they give very good arguments to make their case. For example, Cosmic Skeptic, whose channel you should definitely check out on YouTube, has made the argument that if you could choose your beliefs, you could choose to believe that Australia doesn't exist, which you definitely can't. However, I think that he's overlooked the fact that only if you believe in rationalism and empiricism is it not a choice for you to believe that Australia doesn't exist. People who believe in both rationalism and empiricism cannot choose to believe that Australia doesn't exist because that belief contradicts their rationalist and empiricist philosophies. Hence, you have to first choose rationalism and empiricism before you become enslaved to the belief that Australia exists. Of course, because this channel is called Autistic Skeptic, I believe in doubting everything, including the notion that you can choose rationalism and empiricism. In order to test my alleged ability to choose rationalism and empiricism, I decided to stop believing in them, but after multiple tries, I discovered that it felt morally wrong to disbelieve them. Now you might be like, how is it morally wrong to disbelieve in them? Aren't they just correct? You see, I personally feel that it is morally wrong to believe in that which is incorrect. I believe that it is morally wrong to believe that 2 + 2 = 5. Now this is not to say that an elementary schooler who gets it wrong the first time is immoral. No, the elementary schooler simply doesn't know that 2 + 2 = 4, and upon being corrected by the teacher, they will happily change their answer. This example is one of many cases that show you that you are not morally culpable if you didn't know that what you were doing was factually or morally wrong. However, my point is that for me, my belief in rationalism and empiricism is an ethical decision and therefore an ethical choice. The moral philosopher Immanuel Kant famously pointed out that ought implies can. If you ought to do something, that means you can do it. I ought to believe in rationalism and empiricism, and so therefore I can choose to believe in rationalism and empiricism. There are plenty of other examples of beliefs that we treat as ethical choices, even if we don't realize it. For example, we ought to believe that all races, sexes, sexual orientations, etc. are equal, and so therefore we can choose to believe that all races, sexes, sexual orientations are equal. In fact, I was just reading local California news about this white waitress at a restaurant in Monterey County, California, who courageously and fiercely expelled this racist CEO from the restaurant after he made derisive, abusive comments about Asians to an Asian family that was just celebrating a birthday. This news story is a powerful lesson that no one deserves to be judged for their skin color or any other involuntary factor, and that even average, everyday Americans can make a difference in each other's lives by standing up to this kind of prejudice. Unfortunately for those who say that belief is also an involuntary factor, they would have to logically conclude that it's just as irrational to judge the racist CEO as it is to judge his Asian victims. I mean, after all, he was just expressing his belief, which the other skeptics, not I, claim to be unchoosable. Now, they might defend their stance by saying that he was wrong for expressing his belief, not for simply having it, but that's basically a don't ask, don't tell policy. If we didn't choose a particular identity, we shouldn't feel guilty about expressing that identity. People shouldn't be afraid to express that they're Jewish or gay or transgender or autistic or whatever, because these identities were never their choice to begin with. But if racist beliefs were never choices to begin with, then the CEO customer at that restaurant doesn't deserve to feel afraid to express his own racist beliefs. The reason I told you all this story is to tell you this. If we as skeptics want to maintain our commitment to treating anti-racism and other antis as moral obligations, then we have to concede that we have the ability to choose at least some of our beliefs. How can we separate the chosen beliefs from the unchosen beliefs? I don't know. But whenever skeptics proclaim that belief is not a choice, it's usually in response to Christians who urge them to convert from atheism to Christianity. And these atheist skeptics feel very strongly that their atheism is not a choice, just as gays feel very strongly that their sexual attraction to the same gender is not a choice. Since we have clearly established that the belief in equality is an ethical choice, it is true that the Christian preachers might extrapolate and say that Christian belief is an ethical choice, but happily for the atheists, there is a counter-argument. Instead of retreating to the outdated notion that belief is never a choice, atheists should instead tell their Christian interlocutors that if they believe that Christian belief is an ethical choice, then the atheist can easily believe that his atheist belief is an ethical choice. In this case, whose feelings should we pay more attention to? If Christians and atheists hurt each other's feelings by disagreeing with each other, who enjoys the right to not be offended? The answer is that the hurt feelings on both sides cancel each other out. Neither is more special than the other. Even if atheism were a choice, it is equally as ethical as Christianity. To all of you skeptics who identify as atheists, your atheism may or may not be a choice, but it is no less ethical than the religions of those who try to turn you away from atheism, so it should be easy for you to simultaneously maintain your atheism and accept the reality that some beliefs are in fact ethical choices. I will speak more about the mental experience of thought as beliefs in my next lecture on Psychology 01. Thank you all for tuning in to Thursday's class sessions. Like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to my channel, and buy the 3 volumes of my novel on Amazon, Lulu.com, or BarnesandNoble.com. I've been Varun Gupta, the Autistic Skeptic. Until next time, think skeptically, historically, and psychologically.